Okay, so welcome everyone on this Sunday. So today we have two amazing speakers, and we are back with one of the very interesting sessions about higher education and job. A lot of people are confused about, after graduating, what to do, whether to go for their masters or get into a job. The most common question that we always encounter: should we do job before masters, or should we do masters before entering into job? So it's like a chicken and egg sometimes. So we are going to discuss a lot of these questions, and one like a golden question, like how to build a profile, how to get, have a strong profile, which is like mostly a myth until today. So we are definitely discussing all of those things. So to discuss that, I have two amazing speakers today from different industry, and they belong to your age group. So you would get more live and reasonable insights from both of them. Okay. So one side we have Harshit. Harshit is currently working as a software engineer in Alexandra Institute, if I'm correct. And he had completed his master's from Aarhus University, I think with a Danish scholarship. It's for Denmark, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And it includes a full tuition fee waiver and a monthly stipend. So yes, it's not like just like a tuition fee scholarship. It's more like a fee waiver for the course and the stipend. So yeah, that's very interesting. We're going to talk about that. And then he also did a research internship in Aalto University, Finland, and developed a package called BOSS. It's on Python, which helps in finding the stable configuration of simulated molecule surfaces. And then besides all the corporate things which he has done, which is too much as of now. So he has also completed many projects on latest technologies during his undergrad career, which is something very interesting, which we're definitely going to talk about. And then on the other side, we have Nitin, who works as one of the renowned names in R&Ds of tech departments like Samsung R&D Center. And during his work in bachelor's in IIT Delhi, he was able to work as a researcher in Arctic University, Norway, for a few months. So definitely we're going to talk about his Scandinavian experience. And he is also one of the attendee of Harvard Project, Harvard Conference, HPAIR. So we'll definitely get to know a little bit about HPAIR. By the way, I was also an HPAIR attendee, I think in 2006, 17 or 18. So that's great to know about all of you guys. Okay, so with a show of hands, who wants to be a data scientist or wants to get into the tech domain? Just write into the chat, me, or raise your hand. Let's understand how many of you are excited to get into the job, or how many of you are excited to get into the masters. The chat is open, guys, so enter your information in the chat, and let's see where we're gonna steer this session for each of you. Okay. Ideally, I should be seeing more towards the job side and less towards the master side. So yeah, to enter your information. So welcome Harshit and Nitin again to for the session. Um, my first question basically goes towards explaining your profile to the audience before we move ahead into the session. I've given a very basic introduction, but let's get to understand about your journey in a better way. Okay. So why don't we start with Harshit, where from he belongs and what he did in his undergrad and then his postgrad, and then we're gonna come to Nitin.
Okay. Hi. So I didn't have time to prepare like a big presentation and so on because yeah, I just have had jobs and now I have some time. But basically, so I did my bachelor's in a more or less normal government university, as you would say. It's a university in Bhubaneswar. It's a government university, but it's pretty normal. But what I did was that I knew from very early on that I wanted to go outside or I wanted to study abroad or do something more than basically what the undergrad meant. So because of that, I tried to find some topics which interest me. And this was around 2015, 2014, 15, that I found out about machine learning and cryptography and all of these interesting stuff. and I chose machine learning. And unlike machine learning, which is very popular and common now, that was still a very somewhat of a niche topic back then. So I tried to do some normal projects, and then I knew that if I immediately try for international internships, it might work, but it could also not work because I don't have anything to prove myself by. So then I started looking for these domestic internships, and it's not that hard if you try to search for summer research fellowship or some internship, trying to look for Indian internships, then you can find a lot of, and I think they have even increased than what I had when I was trying to search for them. And the one that interested me the most was the one with by Indian Academy of Science, where they take a central application from people all around India from different institutes, and then based on your CV and based on your interest, they actually distribute you around India in one of their member institutions. So I ended up working in Indian Statistical Institute in Kolkata, which basically makes the census of India, and they do a lot of these statistics and machine learning and so on, a lot of these prediction stuff. I did some research project which included on how to compress data without losing a lot of information. And then from then on, after that internship, I knew that okay, I now have a good enough profile, and more importantly, I actually have a reference. So I had the reference of the professor, and that matters a lot. And then I used that to apply around the world. And how I searched for it was fairly simple process, which is I went to QS World Rankings or Times Higher Education Rankings. Then I sorted it all the universities. And then I picked the universities that I thought were interesting. And then what I did is I went through them one by one and then just added summer research internship or summer research fellowship or something like that. And you'd be surprised to know that a lot of these internships, they don't usually show up. But when you try to search for them, you can find internships all the way from Japan to USA in space technology, in nuclear physics and so on. And because if you're, especially, I think this applies to, of course, computer science more. If you're computer science, you can apply your computer science knowledge in a lot of different fields. And I applied to a few places. Aalto was the first one to return back. And it was actually a physics project where they had some molecules and they were trying to make new kinds of solar cells. And they wanted to find the stable form of molecules to make these solar cells. And they wanted to use something called a Bayesian machine learning to do that. I had an interview and then basically I was selected. So I went there and I did my internship. The internship was very interesting because you got to know a lot of things. I got to run stuff on a supercomputer. It was pretty cool stuff. And also being the only computer science guy in a physics group is a unique experience in itself. And then after I came back, I knew that I had to apply for universities and so on. And now I had two very good references. And also I, I don't recommend going after these consultancies or something that people use to write their SOPs and stuff, because these generally make your SOPs look very generic. So they look like copies of each other. So instead, what I did is I wrote my own SOP, and I just used my internship experience from both places. You have to structure it in a certain way that you should start with the somewhat of an eye-catching statement or something, and then you should try to introduce yourself, why you're good. Then maybe you should, and this actually affected a lot, that you should always try to say why this university. So maybe you should go in, look at the professors' profiles in there, what programs they have worked on, what are they interested in, and then try to connect your SOP somehow with that professor's research profile, and then apply on. So apply to around 6 universities in Europe. I wanted to go to Europe mainly because I did my internship in Finland and then I liked Europe. Furthermore, I actually didn't want to give GRE because I didn't want to prepare for another exam and give it. And you can easily get a very good university in Europe without giving a GRE. So I applied to, I think, TU Delft, TU Eindhoven, Aalto, Aarhus, one institute in France, and some others. So I applied to around 6. I got accepted by all 6 of them, and I got scholarship in 3 of them. And of them, I chose Aarhus because Aarhus was the first to respond and had a very good generous offer. So then I ended up here. Once you come here, of course, it differs from country to country how your student life is going to be. So in Aarhus, it's actually not unusual for students to have student job on the side of their studies. So your studies are going to be very practical, much more programming and much more end product based than in India. So you actually end up making products and so on with every course you take. But it's also very easy to get a student job. And then once you get a student job, you actually build on your further, you further build your profile throughout by the time you're graduating. And then by the time you're graduating, it's relatively easy to find a job. Of course, in Nordics, the language is not that big of an issue. So English is still okay to get a job. But of course, if you're going to Germany or someplace else, then yeah, you have to think about the language. But that's it. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's more like a amazing journey, and a lot of pointers are very important. Like, how did you choose a university, and how did you apply for it? All of these things makes absolute sense. A lot of people go with the traditional aspects, and that's something you definitely stood out, and that is one of the great pointers. Okay, coming to Nitin.
Hello everyone, myself Nitin. I have graduated from IIT Delhi Electrical Engineering. So if we talk about my journey, so basically I was kind of not aware about all these opportunities in my first year. So I got admitted in IIT. Sorry for the door barking actually. So it is actually, I got admitted in IIT Delhi in biotechnology and biochemical engineering branch. So basically in IIT there is a like the first year is common for all the students. So it was something getting in mind that I have to change my branch and got into the computational stuff. So I just able to change my branch to electrical engineering and then start exploring the things. The point starts that the usual I try to follow the usual trend, which is basically getting like what we say, that a cover letter and the SOPs from seniors and just copy pasting that stuff to find some relevant internship, uh, which today if I think that is completely clueless because the person do not know which domain he has to work in and which particular topic. He just do cold mailing and it's all dependent on the luck. So at that particular time I was also feeling very bad that I'm not able to make it. But in this like in the summer of this my second year, it was like I able to get a machine learning project in my college only. It was basically on brain tumor segmentation. So the professor under which we are working, he was very friendly. So at that particular time, I came to know about machine learning and all this analytical AI and all this stuff. So basically, it took me 2 or 3 months to get the basic knowledge of each and everything, and then we start working on the real data, the data of the brain images, in which we have to we have to segment the tumors by seeing the image and by the using the image as a data. So it was very good experience for me. Like I worked on that particular project for 3 to 4 months, and before that I learned the basic stuff for machine learning for 2 3 months. So it was a 6 months long project. And after that I got to know about machine learning, that what machine learning is exactly is and what it aims to do. Before that I wasn't aware of anything. So that particular project was a like we can say a career changing thing for me. And I got a letter of recommendation, as Harshit has mentioned, that that is important in this particular field. So I got a letter of recommendation from my professor. And then I, as usual, I want to explore. So as the and training process is quite easy in IITs. So considering that, since I am not able to get good skills in all this coding stuff because I wasn't aware of the things. So I managed, like I got to learn, I start learning the things and I got to get an internship at Samsung only. So after that I just start exploring the courses, because that is the thing which is required actually. Because if we consider to the point, like we are more into the results, we are not into the skills. If we talk about a like mentality of our youth, because we are more into the results. So that particular time I was also into the results, I was not focusing on my skills. So after that I tried to focus on my skills rather than the any result or any internship, etc. So after completing my third year, I went to Noida to complete my internship at Samsung. So in that particular experience, I got the like essence of how corporate works and how will I be able to grow up in this particular corporate world. So like I got to learn few things. Like there was a real project in which they have um, I have done quite a work, but I can't disclose the work because that was the company rule. So that is the main thing. And after that, uh, as Ashir has mentioned, that I also explored these things, like I have explored databases, like how databases are important to our work and how machine learning can be helpful to change the world and all those stuff. I also worked on a project in cryptography. So I tried exploring things. I have done quite a courses in databases and sorry for that. I've tried like courses in database management and got the things. So it was time that I was expecting my degree to be completed by the seventh semester only. So it was the thing that I am having no courses in my eighth semester. So I tried to explore the research domain also so that I can make a proper decision on the comparing both the things, that because I got the experience from the corporates, now I have to experience how the research stuff works. So I tried the same thing. I just get the QS ranking and just cold mailing to the professors. Then I do manage to get a internship at UTS, University of Technology Sydney. So that was an interesting project, but I wasn't able to go there because it was planned in June 2020, and as we all know, COVID was there. So I wasn't able to work on that particular project. Yeah, I wasn't able to work on that particular project, but then I got to know from my senior that there's an opportunity at UIT Norway. So the project is related to data analysis and machine learning. So specifically, if we talk in machine learning, then it was basically on GAN. Okay, so I they took my interview and it was very good. So I got selected, and they were also paying me, so it wasn't a big deal for me. Like I'm getting paid for the work, so all the expenses, the traveling expense and the accommodation there will be managed in that particular stipend. So it was a good opportunity, and since I do have time in my eighth semester, so I went for it. And being there, I just realized that research is not that bad either. It was a good thing because being in corporate, we have a pressure. Like we are narrowed down to a particular approach that we have to do particularly. If we are working in some project, then we can think in that particular project only. But in research, like what I have felt in that particular 3 to 4 month period, like you can think the idea and then you can try to implement that particular idea. The freedom of work is there, is the main thing about research which I like the most. So I worked there in basically 2 to 3 projects. So like it was like the one project was regarding the acoustic microscopy. It was regarding the correction of some slanting model and this microscopy. So we have completed the project, and right now we have submitted the paper, so hopefully it get published by the end of this year. And then the second project was, we were trying to implement GAN on some particular analysis, so I can't disclose the thing. That is the thing. So like the experience there was the main thing. Like I just feel that my 3 to 4 months time was worth to spend there, and it was like it clears everything for me, like how to like what should I do right now. So I got an offer for masters there also, but I thought of that I should have some job experience here, and then I will think about that particular idea. So yeah, then I came back to India in March only, and yeah, then after that, after COVID stuff, I joined Samsung in October, and after that I'm working there as a software engineer. Yeah.
Interesting. So I think there's a two diverse profile for you guys out here, and the basic ideology is first of all applying and not losing hope, and doing your proper research. But we're gonna understand a little bit more from both of you guys. One very important question for all the undergrads out here is how to develop projects, and how to basically do projects in your undergrad days and build a strong profile as an undergrad student. What are the things that you guys did which worked out for you and which didn't work out for you? Can you highlight certain pointers about developing projects on that note?
I think Harshit, you can start. I will follow up there.
For me, I think when I tried to like, I tried with, of course, the usual machine learning stuff, which is, I don't know, optical character recognition, image recognition, and so on, and none of them work because you can just get them from somewhere or anywhere. Even in that time when this was not famous, that's not that good. But as Nitin mentioned, GAN and stuff. So what I started to do was, we all know about OpenAI, or I'm assuming that people must have heard of it or something. So I started following these blog posts to see that what these guys were doing in OpenAI or in some of these other AI-based startups. And that's when I found about GAN. And I think it was back then there was only one or two papers of GANs published. So then I tried to do something with GAN, which was I had some facial images, and then what you do is you train a GAN on that, and then you cover parts of the faces, and then you try to use the GAN to paint the faces. And it does sound complicated, but it was, and it's not like I achieved even perfect results. They were okayish, but I think that was that project, even with the okayish results, I think in my college applications, people were happy with that project. Um, what doesn't work definitely, I would say, is the certificates. They are just because they have no idea about all these websites. So if you get certificates, I don't think they're that valuable. What's more valuable is if you are able to get some professor or someone who is well known and then do a project under him. You can try cold emailing professors in India, and that would be much better than doing a certificate or something. And the second thing that I should mention, because that was one of the first things I talked with the guy in Finland, was that he receives a lot of emails from people in India, and they start the mail with "Hi sir" or "Dear sir," and sometimes even "Dear sir / ma'am." And he just said that he has modified his filter to immediately send all the emails which start with "Dear sir" to trash or spam, because he's like, I have a name, and use my name or use my second name, use my first name, I don't care, but use my name. And also, when you email me, don't message my colleague, who sits right next to me, about how you're interested very much in my work and his work. So you have to, the basic idea is, when you send out emails, you have to be a bit more targeted, you have to think a bit. And of course, what you will also see here, it might be a bit controversial to say, is in India, you have a hierarchy. So when you message someone in India, a professor, you have to be a bit thoughtful about respect and all these things. But these are much less, especially if you're emailing professors on the outside. They're much more relaxed. Of course, you have to be sincere, but you don't have to be super serious in the sense. And if you're sincere enough, if you go through their work, there's a better chance they might respond. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with your points. I have also experienced the same thing. Because like in my second year, I was also doing the same thing, because like we have a cover letter only. So we just used to change the topic from that cover letter, and nothing related to the project the professor is doing and nothing else. We just change the topic and change the name, that I am interested in this stuff. I'm like, if we can have 100 mails in our sent, and you can see there are 100 different topics in which we are interested. So it is just to get an internship, nothing related to my interest. And so I also experienced the thing that that's completely wrong. And every year I feel that students are more towards that particular thing, they're not towards that applying to the like the topics which they really interested are. But they don't, they are just following that particular stuff, and which I did also. So I will just will say that if a student wants to explore really, so he can go for a smaller project. The point is, we do not respect the professors working in our college, in the college which we are studying, because there are also like many research projects going in our college also. But point is that we just have to show that we are going to particular this college and particular this college. So that is the main thing which I feel. So sometimes if we are not able to make outside, we are not able to make to a good college or to a good professor, or uh, um, like we know that we have interest in this particular topic and still we are not able to make it, so we have to try, we should approach the professor working on that particular topic in our college, because it will help us to grow our skills. So that is the main thing which helped me, because I was at that particular time, I was just thinking to start machine learning. So I was not able to get any internship in that summer through the cold mailing process. So I just felt that I should approach any professor in my college only. Then one of my friend contacted me that I have a project with me, can will you be able to work with me? So that was the point that I realized, and the professor really helped us. Like the point of machine learning, the basics and the everything he taught us. So I think that the point is that we should not go for the words and the outside stuff and all. If we are at beginner level, then just be like, but I feel that consider yourself on the professor side and feel that you are having applications, all those. So will you select any of them? Like literally you won't select any of them. So I think the student must focus on the skills more rather than just applying. And if the person will have skill now, so sooner or later he will got an opportunity. That's what I feel.
Interesting, guys. So, getting an opportunity process is interesting, but let's understand a little bit more about the elements of it. If even if someone doesn't get an opportunity, what are the things apart from the internships one could look at to build his or her own profile? What you guys did, what you learned from your seniors and your juniors around that. Can you give a little bit more detailed insights around it?
Right. So if you don't get any internships, then I think your best shot is what Nitin mentioned, which is find out a professor in your college who is interested in it and then start working on it. And of course, that's not possible in all the colleges, I understand, because IITs are much more research oriented than some of the
I
other
do agree.
universities
I do agree with that point.
we have. But right now, even like my college is starting a AI research center and so on. So I am sure you can find someone. And of course, the quality of researchers will vary depending on your university, but I think at the end of it, it's your work, right? So if you do good work, and I mean, most of the time, the professors are, a lot of the Indian professors, they are generally very busy because they're handling a lot of stuff. So it's not like they put in a lot of work, they just guide you more or less. So if you put in your work, then you should be able to get something out. But it definitely helps if your project has the stamp of a professor alongside you, than rather just being a personal side project. A personal side project would help you, it used to help you, but right now, because we actually have a glut of people trying to enter into machine learning and data science, you go around, so many people are doing so many side projects. So you want to add something that adds value to that. And what a professor can help you with is maybe trying out some new version of GAN or some new thing from the literature that you might not know that might actually add some value to your project. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to add the same thing is there. The point is the professor can provide you the resources which on a personal basis you can't able to get, or the guidance which you do not know that how to approach. That is the role of professor, which is very much important in this process. Because if we consider, like, for the basic knowledge, if we see from the base for the basic part, we can, like, there are many online platforms where we can study machine learning, AI related courses and all that stuff. But the point is, if we are able to get to work on a project, like, working on something will give you another level knowledge. You can't get that particular from that theory. So that's the main thing. So I should like want to suggest people that if you are not able to make to this, try to make to this. That is the good thing. try to approach any professor from any university, from your close one, your university. If there are not any research project going on that particular project and that particular topic, so you can think of an idea and approach your professors that how about if we can start a project on this particular idea. So I think they can help. And if you're not able to get a, like, you will be able to get a professor, not if not in your university, then universities like nearby you. So I think if you're not able to get like a professor matching your particular idea, like he is not working on a specific idea which suits you, so you can thought of a project, and you can approach to the professor that we can start work on this, rather than just asking him that do you have any project in this. So this is another
Yeah.
thing which a student can do.
Yeah, I saw this question by Tanuj in the chat, that is it a good idea to do a research internship in my college or work in a startup in the final year? And my answer to that would be, it depends on what you want to do. But assuming that you wanna have a good job, let's say in US or India, abroad. If you want to have a good job abroad, you're not interested in research at all. You just want to have a very nice job abroad. So then also you have to remember that you have to use research as your entry point into the foreign universities. Because if you try to come with a job perspective into foreign universities, they're not going to be impressed by you. So you have to build a research profile, claim that you're very interested in your research, hopefully you are, and then enter it. And once you come here, then you can like very easily switch to a job situation. And of course, if you want to do a job in India, then I'm not qualified enough to answer that. I think it might be much better to answer that. Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
if we consider like, sorry, like,
Yeah, Nathan, please go ahead.
okay. So if we consider, like, I am also working on a in a corporate, so I do know that people just consider that research is not in this particular thing. So I would like to say that research is everything. If we like, if we study a single thing, so we just consider a single question, that we have a single question in our mind. Okay, so what do we do? What we are supposed to do? We will just Google it. Okay, we have 10 particular links, and we will just open all those stuff and read something from each of them, and then we combine all the results from the links and get a thing. So what do you think it is? It is also research. It is the research, it is the analysis that you did for that simple topic. So do you think that research internship, I want to say that being working in a corporate is also, research is also there, but it's not just specified as a research job. So, and if you want to learn, like you have mentioned that you want you have to work with a professor or you can work in your startup. So the point is that both are good. If you want to devote time to a startup, because building a startup needs a lot of research in each and every domain, and working with the professor, but the point is that the learning will be more with the startup thing, because there you have to get the ideas, and working with the professor is narrowed down, because the professor has some ideas, you are working with him, so obviously he do have the idea. You are not thinking the stuff, you are just following his orders or following the what he is saying to you. Okay, so but when you are working in a startup, so I personally I would suggest that you should try to work in a startup, because the research stuff is there also, and able to think you will able to think innovative, creative things, that what should I do. Like, for a single thing you will search a lot of things and you will learn a lot. That's my personal opinion, to be very specific.
Interesting. So let's come to a little bit more in depth. Like, a lot of students often confuse computer science with a lot of different ancillary fields, and they play around the jargon, but they are not able to get into a particular field. Okay. So what were the thought processes of choosing a particular course? Like, if someone wants to go into a full stack versus an ML or an AI or data analytics, how do you choose and pick a domain, which would be like, what are the metrics to choose and pick a domain around it?
Yeah, so actually this is an interesting question because I had an offer for masters in AI and I had an offer for masters in computer science and I think one data science and so on. And I would recommend going for the general course. So always try to go for a course which is masters in computer science or something like that. The reasoning behind that is that once you go into a master's in computer science, you can pick out the courses and specialize in AI or data science. And then, but your area of expertise or your eligibility for the jobs in the sense that, for example, now I am working in Alexandra Institute, which is a research and development non-for-profit institute. And I'm working in healthcare field where I'm doing everything from full stack development to AI, but I can also do full stack development because I did my master's in computer science. Whereas if I had just done my master's in AI or something, then you're narrowing down your opportunities in some sense. And so I would recommend always choosing the more general course for your future. And then of course, inside that course, you can specialize, you can do projects and so on, but you have the opportunities open for later.
Yeah, completely agree with you, Ashit, in this particular point.
Okay, so I think getting to understand that field first would really help than just diving into the trends. That's what I see as an outsider. Like people sometimes just get into the trend game and usually lose it out. Okay, let's understand a little bit more towards the post undergrad opportunities. What are the various career opportunities after undergrad? You guys can see like one can do if before masters and even during masters. What are the countries or courses that are really picking up if you're seeing as per the country developments?
Okay,
Nikhil, will
should I
you
go
mind
first?
if we can answer the questions right now, or we can answer the questions right now later on when we there are some questions in
We
the
can
chat.
pick up certain questions. Probably we can pick up after this answer. We're gonna pick
Okay,
up all of these questions and then
fine,
again
fine.
come back.
Okay, so if I understood your question, Nikhil, you wanted to say that which courses are good right now in Europe and abroad, or yeah, okay. So as I said, try to go for computer science masters as opposed to specialized masters. But also remember, it's easier to get into specialized masters because there are less people who apply to that. So I would not say that don't apply to them, but if you get a choice between the two, always pick the general one. Um, and regarding the good university, so I can give you an answer about Europe because that's what I researched a lot on. And in Europe, I think if you, so it depends on how good of a student you are. If you think you can bag the one in a department or two in a department scholarships, then apply to TU Delft in Netherlands, TU Eindhoven. So these popular universities, or even in the Nordics, so in the Nordics because they also have one or two scholarships per department. So universities in Denmark, in Sweden, in Finland, for example, and so on. If you think that your chances of scholarship or admission are getting high, but scholarship is low, then I would recommend applying for Germany because in Germany they have very low fees. So that makes actually things affordable. And inside Germany, actually, a lot of people, they think that if I go to TU Berlin or TU Munich and I go to something like TU Saarland or something like that, then there will be a huge difference. But that is not the case. Of course, in Munich, you get advantage because you are in Munich, not because you studied from TU Munich. You get some advantage of it. If you want to go into research field, then of course you get more advantage. But if you want to go for a job in Germany, inside Germany, the universities are more or less level. So try to find a one which is affordable and where you think you can get in and just apply. In addition to that, if you are looking at post master's opportunities, in Germany, of course, because of the low fees and it's a big country with very attractive opportunities, you have a lot of people coming in. So competition is a bit high when it comes to after you graduate and you're looking for a job. In the Nordics, however, they have, it depends on where you are, but they, like, for example, Denmark has a very strict immigration policy, so as to speak. So they have fewer international people and they have fewer computer scientists. So the demand for computer science is high. So it's hard to get in, but once you get in, it's easy to get a job. And also English helps. So in Germany, it might be a good idea to learn German before you come here. Not required. I have a brother who is studying in Germany, doing fine, but it definitely helps your prospects. Second of all, this is probably a very specific thing, which is Aalto University in Finland. They actually used to be free for everyone, and then they changed to have fees for non-EU students. I think in 2016 or 17. But despite that they said that they would actually keep the number of scholarships pretty high. So if you're above 8 points and you have done some projects, then try to apply for masters in computer science and also these other masters they have related to computer science. And I think you have a higher than average chance of getting a scholarship. Yeah. And if you're like very bright, you are from IIT Delhi, and then you have done all of this, then I mean, you have the very, very, very good universities like ETS Zurich, EPFL, and so on in Switzerland, and of course other like TU Munich, TU Berlin. You can go for that.
Yeah. As Harshita already mentioned about the research related things which we can do after our graduation, the thing I want to mention regarding the corporate world or regarding the jobs and specifically in India. So the point is, as we all know, that not all of us got selected in the corporate, or we can say that the good companies in the sense I'm not mentioning, like I'm mentioning the companies with good packages. Okay, so point is that the person just lose hope. He just, everyone wants to be there. That's true, but point is that everyone can't be there because the competition is very tough, and at a specific time only some of us can be there, not all of us can be there. So point is that everyone just lose hope, people just lose hope, and like they have an ego clash with that. Oh, I won't work in a startup for this particular package, I won't work for this particular package, I have expected this much, I have expected this much, I won't work for this. I want to mention the thing that the point is you have to start. I know that I have also failures in my life at some particular point of time. um, Everyone do have failures in their life. The point is you have to start. The main motive is to start. So just and if we consider about the learning stuff, then the thing you will be able to learn in a startup will never be comparable to the things you learn in a corporate, a well established company. Because, and obviously if we consider the stairs, I would just want to mention you have to start from the beginning, so you can't just jump off there. So the point is we have to remove our egos in this particular, I'm talking about only the corporates, not specifically to the research thing and the higher education, which about higher education Harshit already mentioned. But the point related to this, that I have been in contact with the undergrad students and with my juniors, with my friends who have been, and I'm not talking specifically to IITs to this particular point, I'm talking to all the colleges, all the engineering colleges. People are just moving towards the well established companies. I know everyone wants to be there, but if we are not able to make that, we just have to start. And for being, we have to learn. And since we have to learn, we have to accept the things that right now if I'm not able to make to that particular company, so I should work on my skills to make to that company. Okay, so this is the thing which we have to consider, and then we can really make a change in our like CV, in our profile. So yeah.
Okay. So when we are looking at, you know, opportunities, one of the very interesting thing that comes up is scholarships. Okay. So, you know, Harshit, if you want to put some light around, you know, what's the mechanism of people getting like scholarships or opportunities? But I think let's come to the questions first, and probably then we're gonna take on the very interesting question about scholarships. So if you're seeing, if you guys want me, I can pick up the questions. Like Tanuj has this question about some good colleges for machine learning research internships except IITs. So who wants to answer this?
Well, my experience in India is not as wide as the other guy, so maybe he can answer better. But as I mentioned, there's Indian Statistical Institutes, there are Triple IT Hyderabad, and so on. Some of these are very good universities. So if you are able to get into those, then those are pretty good.
Okay.
But Nathan can probably answer it much better.
Yeah. Since the person had mentioned except IITs, so sorry, I have just explored the IITs stuff. But I'm like, I don't get the point that why are you asking about except IITs? The research things which are going in IITs is not only narrowed to the students who are studying in IITs. Anyone studying outside can approach the professors to work on their project and to work on the machine learning things. So I would try to say that uh, don't just bound yourself to work with your professors. And literally, I have been there for 4 years. I know that the projects are not only for the IIT students. The projects are open to all. So if you want to connect, like the research is literally good in IIT. So if you want to connect to professors and you want to work on some particular project, you can approach them. That's
Yep.
all I have to say.
Probably I'll pick up this question. Talking about like apart from IITs, you can essentially look at labs. Though there are opportunities very limited, that you can probably pick up CSR labs or IISc on that note. But yes, in India, opportunities are very limited if you look towards academia for your research internships, or apart from IITs, which are like really good on ground. I've worked in a CSR lab, not to which about them, but then you don't get to learn a lot. You can probably work at IRCTC or any other big government organization for the sake of the name. To some extent, you also get to do some really good work. But working in a startup would be far more, I would say, as a learning experience than working in a very slow, sluggish, standard operation settings. That's where you might get to learn a bit. So you can probably work in an early stage startup in a little bit more like an R&D role. Also, because early stage startups are into the R&D processes all the time. So one question from Sampada. I'm just reading the question out. I'm a first year BTech student in NIT Rourkela in metallurgical branch. I was previously preparing for medical entrance for 2 years, but decided to not go for an engineering instead. I haven't been interested in technology and stuff, but now that I'm here, I want to start learning and knowing more about technology, AI, etc. What do you suggest to start, and how do I go and find things that interest me? Oh, pretty deep question.
Um, so I mean, I would say that because you're in metallurgical branch, maybe well, it's a bit hard for me to answer as a computer science guy, but there should be some research areas in metallurgy which somehow deal with technology, and you can probably go for them. But it's not completely required to to be a computer science person to actually do some of these AI other stuff. If you're good in maths, you can actually enter. There's a joint course by ISI and triple ITs, I think, with analysis. I think masters in analysis
Yeah,
or something.
I think
So
there
you
is
can,
5-year plan something.
yeah, exactly. So you can definitely go for that as well. But if you plan to build on your bachelor's, then you should probably start looking first into is there some branch of metallurgy which has some use for technology, which I'm sure it has. For example, right off my head, I can think that in metallurgy, maybe you have some sort of fault detection using AI, or some sort of defect detection using AI. There should be something there, and some research going on there. Yeah.
Okay, I want to mention the thing that when during my internship at Norway, I worked on a project which was specifically to default detection, like damage detection. Uh, Basically, the project was in structural health monitoring. That if we do have like big monuments and we have some, like if we talk about the aeroplane, okay, so if there is some damage in that particular structure, so the project was related to that stuff. So Sampada, right, I want to mention the thing that machine learning and AI is right now in each and every domain. You just have to connect the things. The main point is that You have to connect the things. And regarding the exploring thing, I would like to suggest that you should try from smaller things. uh, get an overview what machine learning is. Try to approach a professor in your college who is currently working on regarding machine learning and all. If you are able to connect with him, he is able to guide you. That would be a better option. Then you will able to judge the things then that this machine learning stuff literally excites you. Is that like because right now everyone is running a race for machine learning. So point is that is machine learning literally helping you or exciting you? So if you are like, if you are not able to find a professor or some relevant thing, then you can explore online also. There are many courses online, so you can get overview by doing one or two courses. Then you will able to learn and start working on smaller project. Then you will able to figure out that whether you want to work on machine learning project or not, or whether that excites you or not. So that is the thing.
Okay. Yep. One small suggestion here is try and go out and explore things. You can spend, 3 days to a week in learning about a couple of things. Reading is the good time here. I would say, like, when I started from a mining engineer, I had zero clue. IIT doesn't give you, departments based on your interest, but based on your ranks to great extent. So, and
I
again, I
will
had zero clue about mining on that note.
I would like to mention a thing. Like earlier, I got enrolled in biotechnology department. So I do have my friends in biotechnology department who are very much interested in machine learning. The friend whom with I have worked in my second year summer, he is from biotechnology department, and right now he is a software engineer at some corporate. So point is that he was interested, he found that stuff very much interesting, and after that he managed his biotechnology courses along with doing extra courses in IIT from computer science branch. Like we have to select electives. I'm not talking about specifically to IITs, I'm talking about any college. If you are in some other branch and you want to explore machine learning and computer science related stuff, so you can manage your courses to get a, like, if just consider a simple thing, you can add on a one single course outside your branch. Okay, so that course will uh, give you the picture that is it good to go there or not. And there is a question that how to find things that interest me. So I just want to say that explore with uh, all you have. Out of 10 things you will find one thing that excites you.
Yep, absolutely. So, what if someone doesn't have a background in computer science but wants to study machine learning? What are the things that they could do as a starter?
I
Okay.
think Nitin might be much better to answer it.
Yeah. uh, since I completed my when I completed my third semester, I was clueless about machine learning. So the point is that I'm talking about specifically when you have zero background. So you just study something from internet, that what machine learning actually is. Like I also did a course from a website, online platform. So after getting that, you get a theoretical knowledge. The point is that after that you will find dummy data sets on internet, and you can start doing experimenting with that data. So the thing is, what you have studied in that particular course, you can start implementing that thing sooner. Like when the time passes, you will be able to figure out things, how you can improve on that particular time, how you can increase your efficiency, accuracy, and all those stuff. So specifically to AI, if machine learning and AI, I want to say that you have to play with the data set. Literally, it's not theoretical. And if we talk about my research internship, when I worked there on like the GAN architecture. So the point is that since then I wasn't aware about GAN, what GAN is, or how does it work, anything else. So the point is that I just want to learn how it works. So point is that I have data set with me, and my professor was very much chill with that. he said that we have the database, now you can do whatever you want. So I was like that, okay, then it's fine. Then I found some particular theories from internet, and then I just started doing things. And you won't believe that it resulted something. Although I was not able to complete the project due to the time thing, but I got something, and the professor is still working on that particular thing. So I expect that it will turn something someday. So point is that you have to play with the data set.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So one very interesting question, I think it's directed to Nitin. How to explore startup things in IIT Delhi if we have no prior knowledge? What is the difference between startups and entrepreneurship?
Okay, so that's quite deep question. So specifically talking about IIT Delhi, so I think that IIT Delhi was among the top colleges supporting startups in India, and it is also like among the top supporting startups in the world. Being a student, if you are Shrishti Goyal, if you are a student of IIT Delhi, so I would suggest that try to approach Professor PVM Rao. He is very supportive in all this. You can approach our professors. If you have the idea, you have a plan, you have like have done your research, you have an idea, you have created something, and you have all the knowledge and all the, like, you have to do a research on your part first, and then you can approach any professor at IIT. I would say any professor. And if even if the professor is not working, is not interested in startups, so he will direct you to whom you should approach, whom you should connect to. Okay, I have done like in my college life, I have done it several times. I usually got some ideas, then I approach some professor. Like if got an idea related to electrical engineering, I just approach the professor of my course. I just approached her and she said, "Oh, startup thing. Okay, I don't have any interest in startup, but you should approach him." Okay, then I just approach him. I discuss the idea. So the point is, I would like to suggest that contact any professor with that particular idea, and he will direct you where to go. So that's regard specifically to IIT Delhi. If you have mentioned that thing, and what's the difference between startups and entrepreneurship? So I don't think that the things are different, but as per my knowledge, I don't think the things are different. If we talk general.
Interesting. So talking about profile building and all, and talking about IIT Delhi, let me bring a surprise speaker on the platform. He's an IIT Delhi alumnus and also holds a startup. So he can probably bring a little bit of insights, and he's working on something, I believe, regarding profile building. So why don't you, Samek, join the session and give a little bit of background about you and help people understand who you are, what you're doing, and regarding the IIT Delhi startup ecosystem. I personally know IIT Delhi has a very rich startup ecosystem, and there's a lot of things that IIT Delhi offers compared to most of the other IITs if you're into the startup space, for sure.
That was quite a surprise, Nikhil. Uh, yeah, so thank you. It's really wonderful, Harshit and Nitin. It is quite a lot of knowledge for me personally, what all you have been talking about. Yes, so a bit of my background. I graduated from IIT Delhi in 2019, and like currently running this venture called MyWays. I think a few of you might already be knowing, and it's about machine learning. How do we use machine learning in career guidance? So yes, I think any specific thing we might talk about, but if there's any question also, I should be able to take it up. Any specific thing that we were discussing about? I was quite somewhere in the middle. I guess I'll invite Tanvi also to introduce a brief of practicum. So how it goes is that we while we were working with a lot of employers, right? So we figured it out that these employers are actually looking for people who are ready for the industry, right? So they're looking for experienced freshers. So this is a new term which has come up, right? That I'm looking for an experienced fresher. So while we were discussing, like discovering all this pandemic and how people are using their free time, right? As both of you have mentioned, the projects is something which is quite useful. So we decided on coming up with this program of people building their own projects, right? Providing them a mentor who can help them with industry experience, and an academic mentor who can handhold them and help them build projects. And a lot of these projects are from industry, and a lot of them are their own projects where they can innovate. So it's a practicum, and I guess Tanvi can put a link. There's a certain fee for the subscription. Tanvi can put the link on the chat, where if you are interested, then there are certain scholarships also. For this particular batch, we are quite happy in having people who are deserving. So the cost is not an issue for us, but this time we want people who are quite interested in devoting good time. Starting from the basics, it does not really require any knowledge of Python or anything. It's starting from basics to help you take to industry in 3 months. That is the goal of this practicum. And I
Wow.
guess Tanvi, you can put in the link if some of the people are interested. We would be happy to talk to them. Any questions about startups in general? Any questions about
Yeah.
I would be happy to answer.
The question was how to explore startup thing in IIT Delhi if we have no prior knowledge. So I think
Okay.
you can answer it very well.
Yes. So I think yes, then you can stop sharing. Maybe links are there. So my experience specifically at IIT Delhi, definitely it's a good place to be in. Not as an IIT Delhi student itself. There are a lot of events where people from different colleges do come and attend these events and build a good network. I'm in in touch with a lot of people. So there is a certain culture of startups in the mindset, I would say, right? And specifically in my case, I was interested in startups and had no idea of what it was. I wanted to be a businessman. I didn't know what is entrepreneurship, right? So a difference between entrepreneurship and startup, someone asked. In my opinion, the basic difference is entrepreneurship is in your mind. Startup is when you apply it in the real world. So that is basically, so you need not really be an entrepreneur to have entrepreneurship traits, right? It is required everywhere. Specifically how IIT has helped me is, my first fund to the startup came from IIT Delhi. My first mentor in the startup was from IIT Delhi, and the team itself was from IIT Delhi. So as Nitin rightly mentioned, reach out to the professors, Professor PVM Rao. There are a lot of such professors now, and there's good ecosystem. Attend events for people who are not from IIT Delhi. I guess you attend events. IIT Roorkee has been quite good now in those terms. Yes, I guess they're open. The people are very open from IIT. They're very open to have. I guess Nikhil will also can add certain points there, but networking is the key, and no one would know it better than Nikhil, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, since the needle is pointed to me, let me give a little bit more insights. A different insight from, coming from an IIT background, but then most of my team members doesn't come from an IIT background, and they have been equally amazing, hardworking and curious in their own careers. And one of the, I think, influential team member even comes from Harshit's college, from undergrad. So, the idea is, IITs are a great place. You might have missed the bus of IIT JEE and didn't got into IIT or BITS on that note, but that doesn't stop your growth. Trust me, there is so much to do, and Harshit is a live example in front of you. You can always grow so much and in a conscious manner. So don't let the tag game kind of fool you. IIT is a good ecosystem, but then you are having a great opportunity to build an ecosystem in your own college. Probably Samyak or me, you can always reach out if you're building your own ecosystem in your college. And that would really lay the foundations for more and more people to come. And that puts a very strong thing in your resume. If you're looking at resume building, starting your own ecosystem in the college itself is a big opportunity that you can make up. And let's come to a very interesting question that we have. Does these tags help in MS admissions? There is no straight answer to it. Yes, because of the brand name, because the professor might be knowing IIT Bombay, Delhi, or maybe BHU or the colleges, but alone this tag has no value to play. because you need to have a good profile who should live up to the reputation of this tag also. So I believe that's my take. Harshit, any idea about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think at least in Europe, in a lot of universities, it doesn't really matter because I think we do have students from IIT who show up for these exchange programs and summer internships, so they're much well known. But I think if you have done internships and so on, they don't really care because this whole mm, they don't know that the IITs are the super premium universities in a lot of the cases. They think that okay, all the universities are equally good, and if you have good enough projects, they will give you the chance. For example, my brother he did I have a twin brother. He was doing his bachelor's in Bulla. Do you know VSSU Bulla, which is also another college in Orissa, a government college in Orissa? I'm sure none of most of you should not have heard of it. But he applied for internships in CERN, which is the nuclear institute with the Large Hadron Collider and all of them. They have, and he applied it. That was his first internship application on his second year, and he got in. So you don't. He just had a few projects. He formulated his application very well, and he applied. So my suggestion would be apply because you actually yourself don't know. I think you undervalue generally your own weight when you are applying, mainly because of like you think so much competition and so on. But apply, and you might be pleasantly surprised.
Uh, I would want to add the thing that that's exactly Tanuj is saying. Competition is very high in IITs. That's why I am restricting my skills as I don't have really good skills. How do you know, Tanuj, that you don't have good skills? When you are not even into you are not getting into the competition, how will you be able to make that? You have to try. That's what I have to say.
Interesting. So, okay. One question I got, like how to get a team for my startup idea. The ideal thing is I got my founder back from old Kota days who went to a different IIT, and we just reconnected on LinkedIn. Samek could tell probably where did he got his team, and I think he told from IIT Delhi itself. It's all about how much clear you are with your idea so that you can convince someone else to leave their life of comfort and to be on the journey of adventure with you. So you need to have that pitching skills, conviction, or the clarity of your goals, and at the same time, immense passion to be able to inject or get them affected with your own passion. That yes, I should be on this man's mission. Okay, that's how people join. I would like to work in a company which is growing rapidly, whose founders could inspire me, and I could learn a thing or two. That's where I'm gonna give myself to that company. So if you want to become that company, that's where you have to act like that. The day one thing is act like you are going to have $1 million or $1 billion company. Both have different metrics, but act all the way you behave, the way you speak to the people about your idea, about the clarity you have is going to create a big impact. So yeah, having a clarity is important. You don't have to be like a super techie or super smart all the time. You can always outsource that smartness to other people to join you. But then you have to be really good with working with people. One of the very critical skills of working with people in a startup, you may hire 10 amazing people, but making those 10 amazing people work together with you is the most important task. And if you are able to do that, trust me, you could become like $1 million CEO in a few months or years also. So that's something you have to work around. So yeah, with this, we came to almost like an end of the session. Okay, we have few more questions. Okay, Nitin said that I want to go for higher studies abroad, but I would go right after my undergraduation or after 2 to 3 years. Yes, that's a very interesting question, Nitin. So guys, please feel free to answer.
Yeah. So what I mean, you don't need to do 2 to 3 years of experience to come and do your undergrad, but it also depends on the destination you're choosing. For example, what I have noticed in Germany is that if you have 2 to 3 years of experience, then you're getting your first job after you complete your master's is easier because you have some work experience to show to your potential employers. On the other hand, if you come for your master's or something, if you're going for PhD, then of course you don't need it. Or if you do some internships in some local companies, or like me, if you work part-time in a company, then by the time you graduate, you already have some local experience to help you. So it really depends on yeah, on you more or less. But I don't think it's a big negative to directly come after. But if you go and you work for 2 years, that is also good. That's also better. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. MS and CS in US versus UK versus Europe, how the whole scene pans out. So yeah, Harshit, you can start off and probably later on I can pick it up from there.
Okay. So I think the reason I didn't go for US was again because it's way too expensive, and I had to give a GRE, which I didn't want to, and I had a good experience in Europe. But you can, of course, US is a high risk, high reward country. So if you want to go for US, then do give your GRE in advance, prepare for it. Do make I think you do definitely need some internships or something to separate your profile. Europe is a bit more academic in its selection. For example, if you're not from CS background and you want to apply for CS in Germany, then they're a bit pickier. They also, I think in Europe, they care a bit more about your grades also to a certain extent. UK is good, but at the present, I would not recommend it because it seems like it's a bit chaotic now because of the Brexit scenario. We in Denmark are very close, and there are people coming and going, and it seems like it's not a good, it's not stable yet. So I would say at least wait a year or two if you want to go for UK.
Okay, so what should I focus more on, college projects or projects? I think CP is college project, if I'm correct with Karsh. Ideally, I would recommend if you get an industry project or a startup project, which is more application oriented validation, prefer that because, okay, competitive programming. Okay, competitive programming is more about solving a problem. If you're able to solve the problem, is good. But my opinion is probably look towards something which is more application oriented approach, because that's is something that people would need eventually. You're good with problem solving, it goes hand in hand. So you can probably pick up in parallel, I would say. But yes, don't just be in competitive programming and lack the real world application side of it. A lot of guys are really good with coding on paper, but when it comes to real world business scenarios, people are not very smart at it. So if you want to get a good job, you need to have a business world scenario also, unless you're going for R&D kind of a role.
Yeah, I want to add a thing in this particular point. Like the competitive programming and the project should go hand in hand. The point is because working in a project will let you learn things better. Because competitive programming, you want to do that particular code in a like faster way or algorithmically, like with less time complexity and less anything like more efficiently. But working on a particular real-time project will help you learn another skills which will like develop you to be like to work as in a corporate. So I think both should be done by your side. Yeah.
Yeah. So I graduated, and then I was looking for a job. I ended up joining the one in which I was doing my student job in, but I have some experience with it, which is that competitive programming is necessary just for the interview process.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about that after you clear it. So, and it's also not all companies. I think it's probably like some of the top tier companies and some of them, but it doesn't, in a sense, improve your base knowledge or your foundation. It's needed. It's definitely a needed skill, but it's not it's not something that's going to help on you on your day-to-day job. So first, make yourself good and ready for the industry using my ways or using your effort and so on. And then competitive programming, you should learn it enough so you can crack the interviews, but you should not focus more on that, more on those than that.
I think this is it, guys. Thanks everyone. Thanks Harshit. Thanks Nitin. Thanks Samyak for joining in on this Sunday, and I would say like making Sunday more knowledgeable for us. Like at least I get to learn a little bit about Europe every time I speak to people. So great, guys. Thank you for joining on the Sunday evening. As I think Samyak mentioned, if any one of you guys are looking to build your profile, probably you can explore the program, and Samyak and his team could, or else I can probably share it. You can explore the program. All of you guys will get an email about what we discussed in today's session to as a snippet of it. And if you are looking to study abroad, you can always connect to us, or else connect to Harshit or or any on I would say on LinkedIn where you want to understand. Ideally, LinkedIn is a great platform to connect to people, which I think I didn't cover it. But else, you can always connect to any of the international mentors on ForeignAdmits also. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in on this Sunday evening, and have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for inviting us.